All right. Today is yet another video about the MrBeast situation that's been unfolding over the past month or so, but this time it centers on the newest video from Dogpack404, the former employee who sparked everything off, which contains additional allegations of misconduct and abuse at the company. Here's the thing. When a video like this comes out, especially this type of video, because this topic has been incredibly popular for a lot of YouTubers lately, including myself, when a video like this comes out, YouTube fills up very quickly with all sorts of reactions and interpretations. I'll do the obligatory recap summary here for those that want it, but more so than talking about what those new allegations are or looking for details on what they could mean or where they come from or who's involved, I want to look at the broader picture from the perspective of where it all goes from here. MrBeast, like it or not, isn't just a person anymore. He's a brand, and that brand is worth something like $1 billion, which means the stakes are pretty high, and the only real question I want to focus on is what happens now. What is the reputational damage? What are the future prospects? And who's the one directly impacting the fallout? For starters, the new video from Dogpack404 is mostly about two separate individuals. LaKoya Hill, former COO at MrBeast up until recently, and James Warren, the current CEO of the company. These two individuals have a lot of issues surrounding them, ranging from allegations of very serious misconduct to proximity with actual fraud cases, and a whole bunch more that you really need to watch the original video to fully grasp. Obviously, I'll have it linked down below in the description. What it really boils down to, if I had to condense it, is a culture at the company where serious problems appear to be actively covered up. And after incidents took place, the guilty parties appear to be simply shuffled around between companies rather than ever actually fired. An example would be LaKoya Hill, who allegedly assaulted his secretary in some capacity and was let go only to be brought back in a different area of the company. Then, after this reputational reckoning first began, he was removed again, only to then seemingly reappear as the president of Creator Global, which is another company launched under the brand of MrBeast. Dogpack404 has a pretty good analogy here, comparing it to that 3-cup game where you guess the location of the ping pong ball, but instead of cups, it's companies, and instead of a ping pong ball, it's criminals, or at the very least, people with serious allegations and a criminal past. I say that because we also understand that there was a registered sex offender working at the company and appearing in videos while being allowed to adopt an alias and wear a physical mask in challenges to conceal his identity. So the idea that this overall brand is deliberately concealing wrongdoing or operating in such a way as to deliberately avoid never dealing with issues that come up doesn't really seem that far-fetched at this point. Regardless, the CEO, James Warren, kind of a secret CEO that most people don't know about, and the former COO, Chief Operating Officer LaKoya Hill, are now alleged to have serious issues in their past while simultaneously working at MrBeast and perpetuating a toxic culture. But that's the real angle I want to focus on, and to do that I have to make a comparison to a video game company called Activision Blizzard. Some of you may already know this, some of you may not, but Activision Blizzard, right around 2022, ended up facing a pretty similar kind of reckoning over company culture. I'll try to talk about this delicately, but in 2017, a female employee tragically ended her own life in a Disneyland hotel room on a company retreat. And it came out that during a holiday party directly before that happened, Activision Blizzard employees had been circulating naked pictures of her. Reading directly from the DFEH civil suit, with slight liberties taken to avoid the video getting flagged and suppressed, quote, "In a tragic example of the harassment that defendants allowed to fester in their offices, a female employee took her life while on a company trip due to a relationship that she had been having with her male supervisor." Further down, another employee confirmed that the deceased female employee may have been suffering from other harassment at work prior to her death. Specifically, at a holiday party before her death, male coworkers were alleged to be passing around a picture of the deceased's private area, end quote. Now, the family of this woman sued the company over wrongful death, which they then requested be dismissed with prejudice, which in my opinion means they very obviously settled with Activision Blizzard behind the scenes. But yet another revelation that came out was the fact that this company had such a pervasively inappropriate atmosphere. There was an ongoing joke at corporate events and conventions especially, called the Cosby Suite. I'm not going to spend too much time here discussing what that is or why it matters, but the simple goal is to demonstrate that at some point, workplace culture isn't just workplace culture anymore. It becomes an actual legal issue. Turning back to MrBeast as a brand, not so much an individual here, I'm of the opinion that this is precisely the same type of problem. In my view, it's becoming clear through a multitude of sources and accusations, increasingly corroborated with each other every single passing day, that this company is deeply affected by mismanagement of the highest order, and inappropriate behavior especially. In my view, it is now abundantly obvious that a billion-dollar brand had a total lack of professional conduct, accountability, or even basic employee safeguards. To such an extent, they thought it was a perfectly okay decision to hire a convicted sex offender on the registry to a YouTube channel that makes content for children, with kids on set and in close proximity frequently, and then let him appear in videos with a physical mask on and an alias to hide his identity. Someone thought that through straight up, a lot of people actually, most likely, and said, yes, do it. This is okay, we're good, do it. That is insane. When you combine that with the newest allegations about LaQuoya Hill and James Warren, the picture begins to form that this is a company, allegedly, where assaulting, harassing, or otherwise mistreating people does not result in punishment. It just means you have to switch roles for a little while, or become the president of a separate vertical because accountability doesn't seem to exist. This is where I have to switch gears again and then ultimately tie it all back together. The reputational future of MrBeast as a brand is fully at the mercy of their own actions. This is no longer a question of, is Jimmy wrong, or is he really just a philanthropist saint, a misaccused martyr? This is now only a question of how do they rebuild public trust, or can they rebuild public reputation? Make or break, the entire persona of MrBeast is on the line right now, and so far their responses have been about as bad or worse than you could possibly conceive of. At every single turn, they actively make it worse, with a perfect example being this right here. This is old news, I'm not bringing anything new to the table right now, but MrBeast, in response to all of this, apparently decided to hire a man named Matthew Hiltznick to his defense, who formerly represented Harvey Weinstein. To be completely fair here, hiring a crisis management specialist who's best known for his work defending a monster doesn't make the person bad at their job, and it can certainly be a smart business decision. But we're talking about his online reputation here, and hiring the same person as Harvey fucking Weinstein isn't a smart thing to do if you're attempting to parade yourself around as some sort of generous philanthropist saint like Jimmy does. Two things can be true at the same time. One, you hired someone who's good at their job because they're good at their job. And two, you are a completely brain-dead moron, pretending you're a genius on all those podcasts he goes on, who decided that infinite resources to hire any reputable lawyer ever, or crisis management team in the entire world, because you certainly have enough money for it, should be directed at the same person whose name is already professionally attached to Harvey Weinstein. It doesn't take a genius to see why that's a colossally stupid thing to do. Another thing that came out, courtesy of a YouTuber named Honestly, I'll have a link down below to his channel as well, is that the MrBeast chocolate brand Feastables, which is under scrutiny for a lot of other reasons lately as well, used to have a very obvious claim on their website that the chocolate is slave-free. Yeah, they had an entire page of the website just for that claim. But if you go to archived versions from October of 2023, it's just not there anymore. It was removed. Now, sure, if you wanted to play devil's advocate, you could say, well, the CAL, which is the Corporate Accountability Lab, filed a lawsuit in 2021 against Nestle, as well as the Rainforest Alliance, which Feastables used to list on their website as well, when they said they were slave labor free, alleging that they were not, in fact, slave labor free. So you could possibly argue that they updated the website after realizing, wait, the partner we decided to use that ensures we don't use slave labor was using slave labor. Quick, take it off the website. Except, no, that's not what happened, because that lawsuit was filed well before Feastables even existed as a brand. So why exactly did they remove those claims? I can't speak to motive here, and I certainly don't know all the details on internal decision-making or the actual manufacturing process of Feastables, but we're not talking about the motives that these kids have for why they ran their company in such a fucked up way. We're talking about their public persona. The subject is reputation right now, and my entire premise of the video is to talk about how the future of MrBeast's reputation is squarely at his own feet, and he's botching every single aspect of it. His giant record-setting prize pool competition with Amazon is a complete disaster, in my opinion, purely as a result of personal hubris of him. His chocolate brand is what? Making sure to no longer claim it's slave labor free after a launch window that pretty heavily emphasized that fact as a key selling point. His media company is shuffling sex offenders and upper management accused of extremely inappropriate and abusive actions around like a carnival trick, to keep them employed for some reason, on top of hiring people whose professional persona is directly linked to Harvey Weinstein, plus 150 other problems like mass deletion of evidence, covering up whatever they can with regards to Ava Chris Tyson, and the legal quagmire of running dozens of illegal lotteries. But yeah, I've covered all that before, etc., etc., etc. At the end of the day, the future of MrBeast's reputation is incredibly bleak, because even if he somehow manages to deflect responsibility for most of these problems, which he most likely will, in my view, he's still operating a company that is mismanaged to an extreme degree, which may not affect his ability to turn a profit or his ability to capture the minds of gullible children through snappy editing and frenetic energy and gambling, which is like his whole deal. However, his ability to exist as a paragon of moral virtue on YouTube, shielded by the fact that he throws handfuls of cash at poor people and sticks a camera in their face at the same time, is crumbling down around him. Companies grow, people make mistakes, and personally, I don't think this will be the actual end of his business. Far from it, in fact. However, toxic workplace culture, if allowed to fester, has very real consequences. We've seen what happens through Activision Blizzard when a company allows total disregard for basic professional conduct, and we're watching it happen now with MrBeast, where the only real question is, can they pull out of the nosedive before impacting the ground fully and blowing up? I can't say for sure, but my honest opinion is that MrBeast built his entire media empire without a proper foundation. Now, after rising to fame and fortune, he's getting rightly called out for it, but it's not like when you built a house properly and there's a problem with the roof so you can just walk up and go and fix it. Because in this type of scenario, every time they try to climb or walk around or fix things, they fall through the floor again or break something else. In my opinion, a bunch of self-centered kids got rich, way too fast, and built a company while brushing everything they possibly could under the rug so as to just not have to deal with any of it. And when you do something like that, sometimes the shit under the rug wakes up and doesn't want to go back under. Ultimately, he's not going anywhere. The media empire of MrBeast won't just evaporate overnight. There's asset value and a whole bunch of money tied up in it and a bunch of people's livelihoods at stake. But he's not the YouTube golden boy anymore. And with each passing decision he makes, the brand is further damaged. He probably will continue to exist, but it'll never be like it was, and he will never be the face of YouTube in the same idolized way. That's over. That's it. If you want to check out all the other content about this, there's obviously links down below, a whole playlist, other channels, etc. Also a special VPN deal, locals and Patreon, etc., etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching. Question everything, and have a nice night.